Hello and welcome to Inside Sports, presented by Meritus Health Urgent Care and Total Rehab. I'm Wes Decker. Hope you fell back. You've turned the hands of time back 1 hour as daylight time is gone and standard time is upon us. So we've gained an hour, although I feel like I've lost time this week just trying to find the owner's manual to my vehicle so I can turn the clock back in there. The good news is every place I go, I'm at least an hour early. As far as the show is concerned, we are right on time, especially as it pertains to the postseason. We've got the final results for our county golfers at the state meet. We've got action from what's happening in the playoffs so far as soccer is concerned. We'll also take a look ahead at volleyball. The draw is out. Dan Kaufman will be here to discuss that. Andy Mason joins me to talk about cross country with regionals ahead this week. The state meet coming up a week down the road. We just had counties, a look back there. And as far as football, a scenario developing there as far as playoffs are concerned. And all of week 9's action just ahead with Bob Parsaliti when I come back in just a moment.
When your family is hurting, you don't have time to wait. Act now. Visit Meritus Urgent Care on Pennsylvania Avenue. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Meritus Urgent Care treats minor conditions like earaches, sore throats, and sprains. Meritus Urgent Care also offers x-rays and sports physicals, and many prescriptions are filled on site. Located off Interstate 81 on Pennsylvania Avenue, visit Meritus Urgent Care. Expert care, close to home.
One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier Martial Arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm Premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Welcome back to the show, and we begin with Week 9's football. Well, actually, we begin, Bob, with the World Series champion, Kansas City Royals. And I bring this up because I know you're probably in the demographic who can remember when these batting helmets were a hot item back in the day. And I had my collection, and this is one of the first things I thought of when the Royals won the World Series on Tuesday night, along with the fact that I was in Las Vegas earlier this year, back in April, and they were 12-1 to win the World Series at that point in time.
And?
Well, nothing.
Oh,
nothing. Here's what I got out of that. The helmet that I've had since like 1976.
Well, back in the day, I was a big George Brett fan, so I remember those days well.
Well, there we go. I'm not sure that this is the most appealing look, so anyway. Let's get to football, shall we? In Week 9, the Boonesboro Warriors certainly got their most stringent test of the season at home against Northern Garrett. And coming out of that game, I think Coach Andrews was happy that that happened at that point in time, something that they kind of needed.
Yeah, I mean, Northern Garrett scores 14 points, and that's all the points that were scored against Boonesboro in the month of October. And to push it to overtime and to come up big in overtime with the interception by Jack Krasny to end the overtime try of Northern Garrett, and then to have Chase Thomas, who's basically the next guy up as far as the running game goes for them, because they try not to use him a whole heck of a lot. To get all of that, that's probably a great way to try to prepare for this week and whatever comes up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, 20-14 overtime victory. And I think Jack Krasny, he's not our Buffalo Wild Wings Player of the Week this week, but he's kind of 1A because not only did he make that interception earlier in the game, he ran the ball effectively a couple of times, and he also recovered a fumble on the drive where Boonesboro went down to tie the game in the fourth quarter, keeping that drive alive. So he was very integral to the success in that game. Boonesboro still number 2 in the 1A West playoff point standings behind Fort Hill. And unless something would change dramatically here in Week 10, i.e. Allegheny defeating Fort Hill, it looks like if Boonesboro holds serve against Smithsburg, a team that is going to be very hungry for a victory for their playoff reasons, that Boonesboro will not have home field throughout, but you only play one game at a time anyway.
Right. Well, at least they'll have the first one if they hold serve, I would think.
That's right. Smithsburg defeated Williamsport 31-19. They were aided by a fumble return, a long run back of a kickoff, and a blocked punt. And Smithsburg capitalized on all three of those, setting up one-play touchdown drives, each covering 9 yards or less. And the Leopards clicked off 31 first-half points en route to their fourth win in the last 5 weeks. And the Smithsburg D produced 5 takeaways, and it marked the 6th time this season now that the Leopards have recorded 3 or more interceptions in a game. It's just a phenomenal number with that defense that Smithsburg's played this year.
You look at Cole Huntsberry. I mean, 10 interceptions, that's rare in high school. And then you add on top of that, Smithsburg, I think, has like 37 turnovers that they've forced. And I mean, that's huge for a high school team, too. And, I mean, that's the catalyst for where they're at right now. The other big surprise is Smithsburg scoring 31 points in the first half. They usually wait till the second half to do anything. And, but it also shows what they're good at, and that's the short field touchdowns. And, that's going to be a big thing that they're going to have to pull off against Boonesboro in order to get their playoff bid.
Yeah, they're going to need a little of what they had on Friday against Williamsport, including in the first half, their average starting field position to each drive, the Williamsport 37, whereas Williamsport's average starting field position was their own 34. By the way, Huntsberry, 10 picks, as you mentioned. That is a Smithsburg school record. Not bad to be at the top of a list for a school with a great heritage like Smithsburg when it comes to football.
Yeah, and this is really, it's if Smithsburg loses, they'll need Northern Garrett to lose too in order to get in, but they're playing Southern Garrett, and Southern Garrett really hasn't been that competitive this year. So it's kind of like all the chips are pushed into the pot for Smithsburg in this game.
Yeah, for Smithsburg, it's win and you're in. If you don't, then likely you are out. So for Smithsburg, a huge game coming up. By the way, Kayvon Carter with a pretty good game on Friday night for Williamsport in his own right. 19 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Smithsburg now 6-3. The Cats are 3-6, and Williamsport will host Clear Spring. Clear Spring had its playoff hopes dashed on Friday night at home despite another triple-digit rushing yardage performance and 2 more touchdowns from Joe McCoy. Clear Spring has already secured its 4th non-losing record in its 12-year history, but that's not what they were after this year. They wanted a playoff berth. They'll be going after just their 2nd winning mark, but that will take that victory over Williamsport, something the Blazers have yet to accomplish in their history.
Well, talking to Craig Bathgate, Clear Springs coach, they've made huge strides though this year, and if they could end an 0-11 run against Williamsport this week, it would be another big jump for them.
Hancock defeated Friends 22-12. Friends returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Then Hancock marched right down the field and scored. Then Friends scored to go up 12-7 with 1:08 left in the first quarter. After that, Hancock finally settled in and things settled down, and the Panthers went on to win 22-12, clinching their 3rd straight winning campaign as the Panthers go to 6-3. And they could close the year with wins in 3 consecutive games if they can beat Berkeley Springs on Friday. Liberty lambasted North Hagerstown 35-0, although it was kind of a slow death for the Hubs in this one. They turned the ball over 3 times, with 2 leading to 14 Lions points. And aside from gaining 37 yards on its first possession of the game, North could get nothing going offensively, averaging just 1.4 yards per play as the Hubs absorbed their 3rd shutout loss of the season to fall to 1-8 heading into Friday's game against South Hagerstown.
Well, and this was a game that North really hung in there for quite a while. I mean, for the first 23 minutes, it was scoreless, and it was a fumble in the last minute that was returned for a touchdown to give Liberty the lead, and then it was tough sledding the rest of the way.
Well, it won't get any easier come Friday against South Hagerstown. You saw Jefferson and South Hagerstown, and if there were ever a game where you could say it was a tale of 2 halves, I know that's a cliche, but that's how that one played out. 48-42, Jefferson wins it in the end, but the Rebels rang up 6 touchdowns in the game's opening 19 minutes. Looked like they were well on their way to a victory.
Well, I think it's a combination of a bunch of things for South, but the one thing was that they had trouble holding Jefferson. Jefferson's defense is an all-out pressure defense, and South found a couple things early. I mean, they got some big runs early. T.J. Peer got a big run to set up 1 touchdown, and Darian Robinson went like 69 yards for a score, I think, was the distance. And then they got 3 turnovers, and they scored off of all of them, pushing in touchdowns. And all that really put them up to where they were, 42-27 at the half. but they didn't score again. They
No.
didn't score for the last 28 minutes.
Yeah, that is a heartbreak for the Rebels, who dropped to 5-4. Sidwell Friends over St. James 55-45 in a shootout. Sophomore quarterback Tyler Raymond set new career highs on Saturday, going 22 for 30 for 383 yards and established a new season high with 5 touchdowns. In the process, Raymond breaking his own county season record for touchdown passes.
He reset his own record. He had 24
Yeah.
touchdown passes last year and has 25 right now. So that's 49 touchdown passes in 18 games for Tyler Raymond.
Just a phenomenal number. And Cole Menas, who was our Inside Sports Buffalo Wild Wings Player of the Week, caught 2 of those touchdown passes against Sidwell. Menas ended the afternoon with 10 total receptions for 201 yards. Congrats to Cole Menas, the Buffalo Wild Wings Player of the Week. Incidentally, Buffalo Wild Wings closed right now for remodeling. Will reopen on November 15th, in case you're wondering about that. But St. James has allowed 345 points now through 9 games, 10 fewer than Boonesboro, Smithsburg, and Hancock combined. So the defense has not been able to fare well, especially lately. The Saints host National Collegiate Prep out of D.C. in their finale on Saturday afternoon. Well, we've got a finale of the regular season coming up next week here on the show. Bob, I'll see you back then.
We'll see you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Bob. I'll be back in just a moment, continuing with Cross Country when Andy Mason joins me after this.
Yeah, how can we help you today?
I really need to get back to work.
Whether it's going back to work or getting back on the golf course, Total Rehab Care maximizes every patient's individual potential, offering state-of-the-art rehab, including physical, occupational, and speech therapy, all in one location. Experts who take a personal interest in their patients' progress. Call or visit online for more information. Meritus Health, treating the community well.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now with cross country, fresh off the 38th annual cross country championships. Andy Mason joins me, and Andy, a surprise on the boys' side, I think to many, with Will Merritt defeating the defending champion in Darren Harmon.
Yeah, very big surprise. I mean, Harmon was on a seven race winning streak. He was 6-0 this season against Will Merritt. They had raced on the same course at the Wildcat Invitational at Williamsport just a few weeks earlier, and Harmon won in 16:24. Merritt was 17:03, I think in 4th place. But that was a few weeks ago. Merritt hung with him. He gave it his all. Harmon, Merritt, best day of his life, wins in 16:35. Harmon, not the best race of his life, 16:42, slower than a few weeks earlier. But yeah, Merritt just, gave it everything he had. He stuck with him early. Harmon pulled away 2 miles. It looked like it was over. Harmon had a 40-yard lead, as he usually has, if not more, at that point in the race. And Merritt caught him. 200 meters to go. He catches him and, sprints by him.
What's your takeaway from that result?
My takeaway is Will Merritt keeps getting better and better and better. Another takeaway is Harmon wasn't at his best. You hope he can bounce back now at regions and states. Everyone, you can't be at your best every single race.
Right.
If Will Merritt doesn't have the race of his life, Harmon wins in maybe an off day, but he still wins, and we're worried about anything. But he didn't win.
Right.
And you just hope that he didn't peak too early. My gut is that he didn't. I think he's going to bounce back.
Yeah, well, we all hope so.
Yeah.
What about the boys' team championship?
Well, Boonesboro wins for the 3rd straight year, but it wasn't easy. They got a big surprise from South Hagerstown. Now, Boonesboro also did not have a very good race. They were a little off, a little flat, and South almost got them. 2 points, 45-47.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody saw that coming. Obviously, we've been talking about Boonesboro and Smithsburg.
And Smithsburg. It seemed like Smithsburg, if anyone was going to beat Boonesboro, it seemed like Smithsburg would have the best chance, but they finished 3rd. South almost did it. And South also beat Smithsburg at their home course at the Rebel Invitational, in mid-September. So it wasn't a huge surprise that South beat Smithsburg, but pretty big surprise how close they came to beating Boonesboro.
As far as the girls are concerned, no shock there that Haley Wright wins for the second year in a row.
Actually,
but
third year in a row.
Was it the third year in a row?
Yeah.
That's
Third
right.
year in a
Third
row.
year in a row. I shortchanged her one
Yes.
year. But she sort of made it very interesting, the course she decided to cut out for herself.
Yeah, well, she took 2 wrong turns. So, what was it? She's run that race on that course 4 or 5 times,
Yeah.
but she lost a little focus. Maybe she knew. We all knew she was going to win. She was out there all by herself. She took 2 wrong turns, but she backtracked, got back on course, and she still won by almost a minute. So, I mean, she's still the class of the field. She didn't get the time she wanted, but she took 2 wrong turns. She didn't have anyone pushing her. It's going to be the same way at Regions, same way at States. Barring something hugely unforeseen, she's going to win both those races convincingly.
And the Smithsburg girls, they know how to stay together. They know how to keep themselves at the front of the pack. It's incredible to watch them run.
Yeah, they had a great race. They won the county title for the 2nd straight year by 2 points over Boonesboro. It was a close one. Those teams have met 6 times this year.
Yeah.
Smithsburg's 4-2. But Boonesboro has defeated them twice. And Smith, Regions it's gonna be a dual meet. It's counties almost look like a dual meet. Regions is gonna look like a dual meet. States is gonna look like a dual meet. It's gonna come down to those 2 teams. Regions, we're not, it's all about States. That's the one everyone wants. But it was a great race. Haley Wright wins, but then Smithsburg girls put 4 runners in front of Boonesboro's number 2. But then Boonesboro has its whole 7 varsity runners in before Smithsburg's 5, and it came down to a 2-point win for Smithsburg, and it's going to be close at Regions and close at States. It's going to be exciting.
And I could tell from the quotes you had in the paper that that rivalry doesn't go unnoticed by the girls who are part of it.
Oh no! I mean, going into this season, they knew that it was going to, come down to, it's no huge surprise that they knew they were going to be back and forth all season, and that's how it's been.
And I think Smithsburg, as the defending 1A state champions, welcoming the challenge of Boonesboro coming to 1A. As we'll see how all of that plays out November 14th.
If they win this year, it's going to be more impressive than last year because Boonesboro wasn't there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I mean, there's no question about that. So it's going to be interesting. Regions coming up this week, and then November the 14th, the big day at States.
Yeah.
So,
and no matter how many times Smithsburg has beaten Boonesboro this season, if they don't do it that day, it's that's the day that's November 14th's been circled on everyone's calendar all year long.
No question about that. Andy, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Wes.
I will be back right after this. Dan Kaufman will be in that seat when I come back. We'll talk volleyball playoff draw in just a moment.
Wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier martial arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Welcome back to the show. We continue now with volleyball and a look ahead at the playoffs. The brackets are out and time to break them down with Dan Kaufman. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
Well, you make me feel so good. And of course, this is the time of year that everybody points for. The playoffs on the precipice potentially of something big here. And within the county, it's been a pretty good year overall.
Yes.
We're about to find out as the real tests come down the pike here. Let's start in 1A West with the defending 1A champion Smithsburg Leopards.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll take long for them to be tested a little bit. I think they're going to run into Boonesboro in the section semifinals on Monday. I expect Boonesboro to win its opening match. And Boonesboro is a dangerous team just because they have a lot of different weapons they can throw at you. None of them are necessarily super dangerous weapons, but they've got 4 girls averaging right around 2 kills a set. And so for a playoff opener, I think Boonesboro is going to throw a real test. And then Smithsburg would wind up slamming into either Clear Spring or Manchester Valley, possibly in a section final. And then Fort Hill, as usual, will probably be waiting in the region final. So, not an easy road at all for Smithsburg here.
But without a doubt, the West region is the place through which the state championship normally goes.
No question. I know the Washington County's won at least 22 of the last 32 1A state titles. I know Fort Hill just won one 2 years ago. Generally, the team that comes out of 1A West is the heavy favorite to win a state title. And of course, Smithsburg's hoping to do it for the 6th time in 7 years.
And the West region has produced 15 of the last 17 state champions.
There you
so
go.
Again, a point well taken. Let's go over to 2A West in Section 1 there. This Williamsport team that we've talked about on occasion this year, just how impressed we've been with them, recently stumbled a little bit down the stretch.
Yeah, the youth's been showing, I think, the inexperience a little bit. They've suffered 3 road losses to Tuscarora, Oakdale, and Century. Now, those are 3 quality programs. But at the same time, Williamsport's got a fair amount to prove now going in. It could be a double-edged sword. There could be positives in it that Williamsport's not going in feeling like they're unbeatable now. They should have been humbled at least a little bit. And they have a reasonably... it's not the toughest opening round match. They're going to get Walkersville or Catoctin in their section semifinal on Monday. And so that's an opportunity for them to kind of ease into things, kind of find their footing again, because the road's going to get tougher after that.
Yeah, and Liberty is the top seed over there in Section 2. Right. What's Coach Crabtree saying right now about this team?
Well, she knows that, there's a challenge up ahead. And I think the frustrating thing for her, I'm not sure she knows what team is going to show up. Is it going to be the team that showed up and beat North and beat Smithsburg, or is it going to be the team that absolutely laid an egg against Tuscarora and dropped these other 2 matches recently? When you're facing a road that's going to have, possibly Middletown and then a Liberty Century winner in it, that's no easy walk, so they're going to have to show up and play well, certainly better than they have these last 2 weeks. They need to find that form from earlier in the year.
Full attention and maximum effort
Absolutely.
will be necessary, no question of that. 3A West Section 2, they're the number 1 seed, North Hagerstown, the defending 3A champions.
Yeah, and they're not going to have a real easy time in this section either. They're probably going to get South Hagerstown, which I believe will beat Thomas Johnson in their first round matchup. So it's, when you got that North-South first round, that city rivalry, South's going to show up and give you everything that you've got. And I mean, North's going to be a significant favorite. But, when you've got a team that is going to be there and be motivated, and, South's not exactly the easiest team in the world. It's not a cupcake either. And then you're looking at either Tuscarora or Linganore, which are 2 very dangerous teams. I actually think Tuscarora might be the most dangerous team in this section. I think they're the team that North's got to circle and go, man, we really got to be at our best, even though we beat them earlier this year. That's a dangerous team. And if Linganore happens to get past Tuscarora, that's not easy pickings either. And then you got Damascus probably sitting there in the region final again. So, North's going to have to play well, as always.
Well, you got some of the usual suspects there. And then you inject Oakdale, who won the 2A state championship, into 3A this year.
And who know, and I said earlier in the year, Oakdale's not the same team that they were last year. They lost some of their firepower with a phenomenal class that graduated, but at the same time, they just beat Williamsport, so you can't take them for granted either. Yeah, again, 3A and 3A West and 3A in general is always loaded. It's never an easy road for North, but Coach Megan Crawford and the Hubs often find a way to get through it no matter what. They just they figure it out and get the job done.
Well, there's no doubt that expectations will be sky high for the coaches, the players, and the fans alike. There's no doubt about that. The bar has been raised tremendously high in Washington
It's always
County.
a surprise when we don't bring back at least one, if not multiple state titles, and that is, especially for Smithsburg, North, and Williamsport, that is where the bar is set.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a fun ride, and we're just getting started on it. Dan, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be back right after this. I've got golf and soccer to talk about in just a moment.
Yeah, how can we help you today?
I really need to get back to work.
Whether it's going back to work or getting back on the golf course, Total Rehab Care maximizes every patient's individual potential, offering state-of-the-art rehab, including physical, occupational, and speech therapy, all in one location. Experts who take a personal interest in their patients' progress. Call or visit online for more information. Meritus Health, treating the community well.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Welcome back to Inside Sports, presented by Meritus Health Urgent Care and Total Rehab. Well, while all the big prizes handed out Monday at the state golf championships eluded our county players, who each had to settle for their own brand of consolation, it turns out that consolation prizes are still valuable prizes and are certainly better than none at all when leaving College Park, where no golfer from the county has come close to walking away with one of the biggies in 7 years now. For senior Travis Moats, being the only member of the county champions from Boonesboro still playing on the final day was his silver lining to finishing 72nd. Smithsburg sophomore Brett Bale's immediate consolation prize was carding the best two-day total of any county player, while his long-term prize could potentially turn out to be even more rewarding: the opportunity to qualify and contend for that big prize, a state title, in each of the next 2 years. Bale's 155 total earned him a 23rd place finish this time around, 7 slots ahead of North Hagerstown junior J.J. Clemmer and Hub senior Dylan Klein. Like Bale, Clemmer shot an 80 on Monday, and also like Bale, his consolation prize is the experience he gained and the chance to use that to make a run next October. As for Klein, he personally went out on top, assuredly on top of his game. Klein blistered the University of Maryland course, firing a 1/72 on Monday. And to put that into perspective, only 9 of the 81 total competitors were better over the final 18 holes. Klein claims 2 impressive consolation prizes: best round of his career and best round by a county golfer this season. Incidentally, there's still one coveted prize awaiting one of our county players, and that's the designation as Inside Sports Golfer of the Year. That happens in a couple weeks. Now, on the soccer playoff front, after Tuesday, just 2 county girls teams remained in the championship hunt. As the luck of the draw would have it, starting last Thursday, they started eliminating each other. In 3A West Section 2, North Hagerstown dispatched South in unmerciless fashion before being dealt a painful, controversial defeat 2-1 by second-seeded Urbana Tuesday night. It was a night that also promised that 2 more county school seasons would end, but on the flip side, 2 more were destined to continue at those schools' expense. After all, it was like a mini county tourney in 1A West Section 2. There, blue-hot second-seed Boonesboro hosted the 3-seed Clear Spring. The Warriors created all the chances in the early going and cashed in a couple of them to take a 2-0 halftime lead. They parlayed into a 3-1 victory. The other section semi pitted top-seeded Smithsburg against 4th-seeded Williamsport, who met for the 4th time this season on Tuesday. The Leopards had won the last 2 in regulation by 1 goal each, but the county champs, just like in the county title match, would have to erase a 1-goal deficit if they were going to prevail in this one. After battling back to draw even, Smithsburg took the lead in the 58th minute, but similar to the team's initial matchup of the year in the opening round of counties, Williamsport would answer and ultimately send it to a deciding penalty kick shootout. It was in PKs that Williamsport had beaten Smithsburg back on September 5th, and nearly 2 months to the day, the Wildcats did it again, this time coming from 2-0 down in the shootout to roar back and eliminate the 2-time defending region champions in what head coach John Bodner called a miracle result. So 2 teams who were playing in the 2A classification a year ago will now square off for the 1A West Section 2 title in Boonesboro on Thursday. A pair of county boys teams will seek to advance on Thursday too. The Williamsport guys earned the right to play for the 2A West Section 2 championship by capturing a dramatic victory at second-seeded Mountain Ridge on Tuesday. The Wildcats tied the match at 1 with 3 minutes left in regulation, and then after 2 scoreless overtime sessions, employed the same script as the Williamsport girls, emerging victorious in penalty kicks. The Cats go to Middletown to face the top-seeded Knights. A top seed awaits another county school in the 1A West Section 1 title match on Thursday. Second-seeded Clear Spring punched its ticket to Brunswick by besting Boonesboro 5-2 in a high-spirited semifinal. The Blazers came out on top for the right to visit the defending 1A state champs, who eliminated Smithsburg on Tuesday. The county's 3A representatives were one and done last week. South Hagerstown had its chances but failed to capitalize in a frustrating 1-0 loss to Thomas Johnson on Thursday. And North Hagerstown bowed out in Tuscarora on Friday, 7-0. Time for me to bow out too, for now. The postseason provides our topics of conversation for the remainder of the fall season, and we're back at it with our unique and exclusive brand of show and tell coming your way again next week. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you then on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers,